February 4th, 2026 school board meeting. Call the meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, are there any reviews or revisions to tonight's agenda?
Nope.
Any changes to the consent agenda?
No.
Nope.
Okay, we have a summary of non-public minutes from January 21st, 2026. Mr. Shoemaker moved to approve the non-public minutes from the January 4th, 2026 meeting. Mr. Cutter seconded the motion, which passed 4-0-0. We have summary of non-public actions from the deliberative session, January 31st, 2026. Mr. Shoemaker motioned to adjourn the non-public session at 12:30. Mr. Cutter seconded the motion. The motion passed 4-0-0. The meeting, and, nope, she doesn't have who did the motion to approve the minutes.
It was the,
Oh. Sorry. I should have included that. It's probably my fault. But same people. So.
So, Mr. Shoemaker motioned to accept the meeting minutes, to accept.
what are you talking about?
Lost.
No, I motioned to adjourn.
Right.
That's what we left off on. Presentations and recognitions.
Okay.
We got this together.
Okay, we're going to start with the sustainability group, which I'm told is the bulk of the crowd here today.
Well, it is a
TBD.
definite proud principal moment when you have a group of very hardworking students, slide to the sides, guys, and a teacher who really organized some deep thinking activities, some great research that they had, and since sustainability has been a new class to LMS in the last 2 years, I think it's growing and morphing into a program that these kids are very proud of, we're very proud of, and I know Miss Peterson is proud of the hard work that she put into organizing this fair, as well as the work that her students did. So I'll give it over to Miss Peterson for a 2-second introduction, and then to the reason why we're all here is the kids.
Yeah, so just to tell you guys a little bit about what this project all was, these kids worked really hard. They first had to submit different proposals. I told them they could do anything environmentally related as long as they connected it. Then they had to do research. They wrote a literature review kind of analyzing different sources and what they learned about the topic. And then they had to have some sort of action project. So a lot of them chose to do videos, websites. Cole here did a litter cleanup, which was really cool to see in our own Litchfield community. So a lot of unique ideas, and it was really fun to kind of see the end results, and I think they speak for themselves. So I'm gonna let them take it away. Some of the students will have something up on their laptop, like a video or website to show you. They all printed out their literature reviews so you guys can see them and have copies of those. So whoever wants to go first.
Who wants to go first? Going?
Owen, I love it. You're brave.
So introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Cohen Balcom, and I research soil conservation in the Dust Bowl.
I could open the Chromebook, that would
The Dust Bowl was an event in the 1900s, about the 1940s, that was devastating to the U.S., especially the middle of the country. It was frequent dust storms that actually caused many people to die from dust pneumonia, which clogs the lungs with dirt and causes them not to be able to breathe. This also happened with cattle, but it's not as big of a deal if some cows die compared to humans. And then I chose the video solution, and this is a video of what I did. And you want to watch it? According to Columbia EDU, although the numbers are not known, hundreds, if not thousands of Plains residents died from dust pneumonia and effluents for clogging of the lungs with dirt. Many people died in the Dust Bowl. The Dust Bowl happened because of bad soil conservation. Without good soil conservation, many people could die again. According to drought EDU, many crops were damaged by deficient rainfall, high temperatures, and high winds, as well as insect infestations and dust storms that accompanied these conditions. The resulting agricultural depression contributed to the Great Depression. means that bad soil conservation can lead to /worsen a bad economy. The solution: we should enforce new local natural laws tying to soil conservation. For example, a person cannot grow the same crop in the same location for more than 3 years in a row. Taking the same nutrients all the time is harmful to the soil. If I won, our publicized people should talk to their local senator representatives about new soil conservation laws. And then I actually submitted that video to a contest to win money to further publicize this issue.
That's awesome.
Great work.
Good job, man.
I think while they're getting the next person ready to go, I think that's also an example of why those video recording contracts that we sent out a few weeks ago are important to get back, so that kids can put together things just like that. It's a little advertisement. We're only missing about 22 in our whole school, but 22 of you at home watching, make sure you get that in. Who's next?
Sure, I can go. Hello, my name is Evelyn, and I did my sustainability project on an endangered species called the pangolin. Now, this is not a very well-known species. How many people know what a pangolin is?
Not me.
I don't know why I do, but I do.
I thought it was you said penguin.
A lot of people do hear penguin. It does sound a lot like penguin. So, a pangolin is a mammal that lives in Africa and Asia, and it is the only mammal in the world with scales. It has scales made out of keratin, which is the same thing our fingernails are made out of, and that protects it from predators. Unfortunately, these scales are highly sought after in the places where they live, because they are sometimes used in traditional medicines, and pangolin meat is sometimes sold on the black market, so they are a target for poachers. And every single species is either threatened or endangered. So, to help with the issue, the biggest issue is that not a lot of people know what a pangolin is. So I made a website all about what a pangolin is, and I also made a game on a platform that we learn how to use in our computer science classes at our school called Make Code Arcade. It's a Microsoft platform where you make like retro video games, and I made one based on the problems that pangolins face. And in the game, you are the pangolin trying to escape from a person and get back to your family.
She had everyone play the game during the fair, and some were more successful than others during the
It's a harder game. I specifically made it hard so that way you could play it multiple times. But a lot of people only played it once, so they didn't get very far. But it was still fun.
Does anyone else have their project to share? I hate to cut you off, Evelyn, but I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to squeeze in.
Pascal, do you want to show your website while we're speaking of websites?
That was
That's
excellent.
great.
That was excellent.
Awesome, Evelyn.
great.
How can we play the game?
We can send a link out for the game. We'll send the link out, Evelyn. Are you okay with us sharing that with the school board, the link for the game?
Yes, but you have to do it on a Litchfield School District account, because I did the website on Google Sites, and because of my school account, it only allows people with a school account to
We all have one.
access
The news
it.
is we're all
Yep, we got those.
So, I do have the link, so.
Perfect. We'll share that with them. What you have, Pascal?
Hi, my name is Pascal Dion, and I researched climate change for my sustainability project. What I did was I made a website about climate change, and I hung up posters around my school. And climate change is the Earth gradually getting warmer due to greenhouse gas emissions, and it can cause things like sea level rise due to melting glaciers and drying out environments, which is called desertification. And one thing that we can do to reduce climate change is to plant trees or use cleaner energy like solar and wind.
awesome.
Pascal, do you want to show the game that you did?
yeah, I did make a simulation about sea level rise, and it shows how you have to go to your work and the roads get flooded. It shows how sea level rise can be difficult.
This is
Back to my MySpace days of CSS programming.
I put in 2 separate simulations too. So
Really?
one's
Oh, wow.
for sea level rise and one's for desertification, and it slowly, the crops start to dry up. Isn't that right, Pascal? If I'm remembering correctly.
wow.
So they're implementing a lot of the computer science skills they're also learning in class, which is awesome.
And I think as they go around and share their papers
you.
here, the interesting part to this is a lot of people didn't do research on resources until high school or college. These guys are 7th graders doing this awesome research. Is this going to help them when they get to high school, you guys?
So Jillian did one on climate change too, so she's going to share about hers. And then Cole will pull up hers, okay?
I dropped my computer.
Hi, my name is Jillian, and I've spent the last few weeks investigating climate change and how it affects and causes. During my research, I have learned over 1 million species are the result of the recent climate change. Because of this, I've decided to create a video and presentation. The video is animated, but I will not be showing it due to how long it is. This project connects to my research by my video talking about climate change, why it happens, how it affects us, and solutions to it. One way you can help with this issue is by switching to solar energy, stop the use of generative AI that includes ChatGPT, AI study apps, or Grok. Please let me know if you have any questions, but let me first say, climate change happens by, you know how it's like an actual greenhouse. Sunlight and gases enter the greenhouse, and then and it stays there. That's much like the Earth's atmosphere. The sunlight enters, and then at night, some of the gases like bounce off the Earth, causing it to be colder at night, which you've all seen or felt lately. But there's some gases that stay. Those gases that stay are called greenhouse gases. Those greenhouse gases would be carbon dioxide, water vapor, nitrogen oxide, anything like that. But recently, due to deforestation, due to fast fashion, oil emissions, carbon dioxide emissions, trying to think, sorry, I don't have a great memory. Gas emissions, anything that takes up environmental and releases anything gas into the air, much like cigarettes and water and vaping, would be contributing to climate change, much like AI. But I know you all love AI, so I'm not going to force you.
Jillian is an amazing artist, so I think sharing her poster, and if you get a chance to take a look at her video, it's remarkable.
It's 4 minutes long, but she animated the entire thing herself. I was blown away. Super impressive. She did all her own art, all the voiceover stuff. It was remarkable. So, just for timing purposes, she didn't want to show it tonight, but I do want to say she did an awesome video on this.
How long did it take you to make your video?
Well, I kept getting distracted, so like a few weeks.
Okay. Yeah,
It would have taken me a couple days, but I got distracted.
Sounds like a big
And she had to actually animate it all outside of class. I gave them class time to do this, but the platform that she was using was outside of class, and she had to do on her iPad, and with phone rules and stuff like that, I couldn't have her doing it in class. And I told her, Jillian, are you sure you want to take all this on outside of class? And she just was so motivated, and she was so passionate about this that she was like, yes, I want to do this. I'm going to animate this video. So all her own initiative. I was very
That
impressed
is
by that.
fantastic.
I
Great
think-
job.
Cole, because we don't have can't connect to the internet.
Yeah, no
I think
worries.
the other part about this is these were all passion projects by these students. It was a question of, they had choice in what they researched. So it wasn't like we're teaching them all of these things. They could go, well, what is greenhouse gases? What does that mean? I could go and research and find the information. So it wasn't us telling them what to think, it was them being able to go out and finding the things to think on their own.
Cole, do you want to tell them a little bit about your project as I'm pulling it up?
My name is Cole, and I did a whole project about like waste and pollution and how it affects animals, humans, and the environment. So I did for 2 days. I went outside and I picked up trash around like Page and around my house, and I made a website about what people can do to like help the environment and about my trash cleanup. So.
What did you do with your trash? Because you did something kind of neat with your trash too. The stuff you picked up.
Oh, I weighed it, and then I put the data inside here.
And he took pictures too of himself cleaning up all the trash and got the photographic evidence, but it was really cool that Cole went out multiple times and weighed his trash both times, and something literally helping to pick up our own local ecosystems and environment. Literally.
I got that.
Do you have any questions for our fantastic presenters here? Anything you want to know about the class or what they did for their passion projects here?
I'm super impressed with what they've been able to do here. It's, I don't know that I could make a website if my life depended on it.
Was it hard to do the research? Or did you find it easy? Did AI do the research for you?
No, it's
At least any of us here, we don't know about our classmates.
Good
We
answer.
were specifically told not to use the AI overview in Google and actually go into websites and like take the data from there
But
instead.
that doesn't
We
mean our
use
classmates
websites like
didn't.
NASA
Oh.
or National Geographic.
Re-
We've
reliable
done
sources.
a lot of work on kind of trying to find reliable sources, and that's something too they're working on in other classes. I know in their English class, in their science classes, they've been working on that skill too. And I'm really happy that we were able to practice and continue honing that skill with research. So that was awesome to see.
It was pretty hard for me because there's not a lot of information out there on pangolin, so I had to kind of dig a bit deeper.
For me, the National Soil Conservation Service was a big help. Because that answered like half my questions.
That's awesome.
Awesome. How much trash did you pick up? What was the total weight?
I think it was like 16 pounds altogether. Maybe a little bit less.
So if you see someone throw something out their window, you're going to be really upset.
You can read your results.
Oh, maybe not 16. It was like I had 4 pounds of trash one day and then 3 pounds the other day.
Wow. Awesome.
Still a lot of trash.
That's still awesome.
Clean up by yourself.
Awesome.
or was
Well,
it
you guys did a great job. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Here's Mac in the row.
Thank you for presenting, guys. I know how challenging that is.
They were professionals.
And just as the, CIA director, just going to that showcase and watching them present all the interdisciplinary skills that are required to do this project is amazing. It's such transference of, this is math, because they're doing graphing, they're doing weighing and measuring and all that kind of stuff. They're doing writing, they're doing researching, speaking and listening, like all of it is together. Sciences. It was amazing. They all did such a great job.
It's awesome.
So confident in their work too, and so proud of their work.
Yes. This is how we give agency, and we get authentic, learning into our school. This is great.
Yeah, it's really cool to be able to see the product of that class
Yeah.
and see that the kids were really invested in it and the quality of work that's coming out of it. I mean, that really is going to give them a leg up when they get to high school and then go
Absolutely.
to college.
They're
So
coding, they're building websites, it's crazy.
I honestly don't know that I could do it like a PowerPoint right now, to be
I
honest.
can do a PowerPoint because it's all cut and paste.
I honestly don't even know if I could, so.
I mean, it's understanding data analysis and
Yes.
proper ways to display that data. You know, proper research practices and discerning what is reliable, what isn't, is huge in anything that you do.
Yep, absolutely. Fantastic.
Sadly, you're
We
gonna.
have Mr. Benoit to talk about the UN.
So speaking of high school,
Nice transition.
yeah, no, we thought this was an excellent transition because we're all sitting there watching these kids present, and we're like, well, that's the future of Campbell High School right there, and the future of these organizations. So I wanted to start by bragging about my students a little bit. So next to me here is Josh and Caitlin, and unfortunately we also had Rocco who couldn't make it tonight. These are 3 student leaders who are very active in the social studies department, very active in government organizations that we have available, such as Youth in Government. And so what you're about to see, this came from Youth in Government. So Youth in Government is a organization where students will practice state legislative models. So they will go and do a mock legislative session up at the State House in Concord. And these 3, or these 2 and the third that you don't see here, are very active in that organization. So this proposal really came organically from the students. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys. You want to advance the slide, please? Thank you.
So on this trip, we'll kind of be doing what we do in Youth in Government, but more at like the world leadership level. We'll get the opportunity to learn a lot about different cultures and get to play a role in policy making and advocating for different issues around the world and in different cultures. We get assigned different countries where we are. Oh, I'm so spacing on the word. What are we for them? Not there.
Representatives?
Yeah, representatives. we're their representatives for their country, and we get to learn about it, and we write papers about the different issues of that country, to work in different committees to find solutions for these.
And they have so many different committees. Crisis committees, General Assembly committees, specialized committees. Josh, you want to talk about the committee that you're on?
I'm on a committee and it's, what was it, Philosophers Round Table,
Yeah.
I think. And the task of the committee is to design a utopia. And they assigned everybody like a different philosopher from different time periods and different countries. And the one I got assigned to was Giovanni Gentili. And he was an Italian fascist from like World War I, World War II. He was like the brains behind a lot of what Mussolini did, and said and supposedly wrote, but really it was this guy that wrote it. And
so it'll be really interesting seeing him sort of interact with, say, John Locke or Thomas Hobbes, and sort of have those discussions around what does a utopia look like, and what's the best form of government. Sorry, did I cut you off?
That'll be a challenge.
So this is Model U in Harvard, right?
Boston University.
Boston University. Okay, so this is Model U in Boston University. I get them mixed up sometimes. The different trips. So this is a great opportunity for our kids to participate in this. And I think one of the fascinating things I've seen it in action in my career before, I've had the opportunity to witness this when I was back as a teacher and assistant principal, is that aspect of it where you have to take on the perspective of someone who you may not have the same like feelings about a situation, and you have to put yourself in those shoes and really look at it from a different angle and a different perspective and stuff. And it's really incredible when you see high school students engaging in this level of thought and you know, processing the information, because you're given your kind of your person, and then you have to react to everyone else in the moment, and really like keep your perspective of who your person
It's
is.
sort of stay in your
Yeah.
character or your role,
Yeah.
right, to do that.
And let the kids who participate in it are future leaders. They do a great job with it and stuff. So it's a great opportunity for our kids.
So how many attend? Does that say 2,300?
About 2,300 students from around the world. Now, this is the first time, hopefully, if we get school board approval, this will be the first time the Campbell High School will be attending. In my teaching career, when I was a student teacher, at Concord High School, and I had the opportunity to attend this conference, and it was just fantastic. Now, this was about 10 years ago, but it was still just an amazing opportunity for students. And it's really a huge confidence booster, I think, for students to be able to interact in that formal setting and to take on those leadership positions. I think that, and the opportunity to meet people from around the world, it is such a great networking opportunity. And these are all ambitious, driven students. So to be able to see them sort of interact and form those connections, and they can really take that with them into their adult lives. So that's a good transition to the educational benefits. Is that you, Josh?
Is that me?
Go ahead.
The educational benefits, we'll learn leadership skills, we'll be
So we'll get to the opportunity to we'll learn leadership skills through speaking about our countries and taking control of the issues that they're facing. Cross-culture education, getting to learn so much about different cultures and communities and what issues they're facing, and how different policies made in one country might help a similar issue in another country. Then it could be on completely different sides of the world, and you would never know about these issues unless they're talked about in settings like this, and we'll get to work with that. Technical writing skills, all of us had to write a position paper to be able to attend, which basically in our committees we're given 2 issues we can pick from. And so personally I'm in the women's issue committee. In my position paper I wrote up on educational issues with the country that I was assigned. So I got to write a 2-page paper about why education is something that's not easily accessed for young women in my country, different policies that have tried to get put in place to fix this, and how I believe that we could fix this.
You want to speak a little bit more about the issue that your country faces?
Oh, yes. So I am representing Cabo Verde. It is a small country in Africa. My country struggles a lot with women in education. They have very, very limited mandated education. So we're mandated to have education in the U.S. from kindergarten to 16 or 18 through high school. They're only mandated 7 to 13, and that's their primary school. And that's the only education that they have is free. After that, it's secondary school, and they have to pay for that. And for women, that's a huge issue in their country because more than half of their population is under the age of 22, and they struggle a lot. I don't want to say struggle, but it's very prominent to see youth marriages, and it's unfortunately very frowned upon in youth pregnancies. And a lot of these schools say, oh, you had a kid, you can't come to school. So by the time they're 14, 15, they already have a kid and they can't go to secondary school, which women end up having to take on smaller jobs, which affects their economy, and so many other things, especially because women in this country seem to outperform young boys. So I got to write a paper and research on that, and I'll get to speak about that and come up with different solutions on how to help with that.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's so awesome.
That's right.
How long did it take you to research that? You seem like you really
It should have taken me a few weeks. I waited for it till about 4 hours before the paper was due.
Wow.
Well,
but
she's
I
honest.
have,
Fast researcher.
She's honest.
Yeah.
but after I have been, the papers due, 2 days ago?
You've continued researching.
I have. This is what I was doing in my AP Gov class today. But I have gotten to research the country, and it is very interesting, and it is an issue that I would have not known about and not even considered to be an issue without being exposed to a program like this where I get to see different issues around the world.
Do we know if anyone from that country will be at this? Do we know? Like, I mean, it's
We don't know,
23rd.
it's a possibility, it's definitely a possibility.
That's really cool. You might walk away with some international friends.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Most
So we're here
impressive.
tonight. This is an overnight field trip, so we need the board's approval for the kids to go on the field trip. They've taken care of all the accommodate. Like, we're not paying for it; it's self-funded by the kids and their families and stuff. And
How many are going?
the 3 of them. And then
3, and we're hoping that if we get board approval, we'll be able to grow and expand. Model UN is a brand new club. This all just kind of came together very recently, so.
I'll make a motion to approve the Model UN trip.
I'll second.
Any further conversation?
Yep.
I just have one question. What's with the transportation situation?
Self-transport.
Self-transport.
Yep.
Okay, and all those in favor say aye.
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 3-0-0.
Thank
You're
you.
on your
We
way.
Good
appreciate
luck.
it.
Have fun.
Have a great
Thank you so
time.
much.
Report back to us how it all went.
Sure.
It sounded like it either hurt or it felt good.
Can go either way.
Everything cracks.
I was gonna say, just wait.
You're way too young to worry about that.
My second knee surgery. It's only a matter of time.
Yep.
Student- oh, I printed that too. So, you guys,
Oh, yes.
Zoe?
trying to get it up there.
What did you guys research?
Do you have, you have a video for us to watch, a cartoon or anything?
They have a PowerPoint.
film.
You say brand new website?
Okay, this is me. So for our winter sports, the girls basketball team is currently 4-9. Their next game is on the 6th versus Somersworth. The boys basketball team is doing a little bit better at 5-8. Their next game is gonna also be on the 6th, again versus Somersworth. The wrestling team has competed in 11 dual meets so far, and the Pack hockey team is currently 3-6 with their next game tonight at John Stark. So for our past events, January 20th was the midterm week. We had kind of an altered schedule there. The 22nd was the Spain trip info meeting. The 26th, the senior almost there breakfast, which it was pretty good. It was pretty good. And on the 30th, Judge John Broderick came in as a guest speaker to talk about mental health in the auditorium, and it was a decent speech. He had everybody basically. We were all silent. It was really a good story actually. There's also me. The current events that are going on right now is coming up on the 10th is the student council making we're making a staff drink cart. So we have a sectioned off people in student council that we're going to go in the morning and we're going to make drinks and then we're going to deliver them to staff in the building. Coming up on the 13th, we will hand out, or the student council will hand out chocolate covered strawberries to the staff and students in honor for Valentine's Day coming up. We're also going to be handing out carnations, which are they're sold, not really hand out, but they're sold outside the lunchrooms for Valentine's Day.
So for our future events, we have Winter Carnival, which is like a week of spirit days leading up to the Friday right before break, where we have like a pep rally at the end of the day. And this year we're actually doing like a unified quarter. So there's like 8 minutes of unified basketball to kind of get like that like more like publicity and like just like get that out there a little bit more. February 11th is the 8th grade parent night. So all the like 8th grade like families and parents comes to the auditorium, just like listens about Campbell. February break is coming up and the FBLA State Leadership Conference, which is like an overnight trip. At Litchfield Middle School, students and staff are actually voting on the new therapy dog's name. Miss Grantham actually told me that it's down to 3. It was Paisley, Willow, and Bailey.
And
Those
the
are
solution is, drum roll please, her name will be Bailey. Believe it or not, the online poll was high for Willow, but the kids overwhelmingly chose Bailey. So it's.
And then boys and girls basketball are actually playing tonight. Boys are off at Sanborn, and the girls are away at Auburn.
And they won, just hot off the presses.
Both of them.
The girls definitely, I haven't heard from the boys yet, but the girls won, so they're on to the next level of the finals.
Nice.
They're still preparing for the Winnie Dip fundraiser, which is on March 6th, and all the proceeds go to Special Olympics. And they will also be having a Spirit Week right before February vacation with the pep rally too. For School Counselors Week, they want to honor Miss Hayes, Miss Perkins, and Miss Carroll for all that they do. And on Friday, January 30th, the Science Explorations came to do their bubble presentation for the 2nd graders. And on February 2nd, the 4th graders visited the New Hampshire State House and New Hampshire Museum. And this Thursday is their 2nd annual Winterfest from 5 to 7, and kindergarten registration is now open. That's everything.
Registering kindergarten kids already.
We're up to 40 already.
Wow.
It's been over a week. So we'll see.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, now we have community input on agenda items. Seeing no community.
Well, we see community, but they're just not getting up.
Right.
We see you.
Not faces we usually see.
Exactly.
So we'll close community input and go to correspondence. Oh, I should have opened this up before I sat down. Okay, on the 23rd, there was a request from Ms. Darling for everybody to sign the warrant articles. On January 27th, there was a payroll manifest from Ann Inamorati and a 403B and NHR manifest also from Ann. On the 28th of January, Renee Burgess sent us the agenda for the 31st meeting, which was at deliberative. On the 30th, we had 2 accounts payable manifests from Ann Inamorati. On the 30th, we had the agenda for tonight's meeting from Renee. On the 31st, Chairman Sun sent the slides for the deliberative session. On the 31st, from Ms. Follis, there was a comment regarding the FIRST Robotics funding. Mr. Cutter responded to Ms. Follis and then responded again today with further detail. And then today we received the minutes from the 21st school board meeting and the 31st post-deliberative school board meeting. And that was it, as of about 2:30 this afternoon.
You're doing it all tonight. I should have volunteered for that, sorry.
So now we're going to move on to the legislative update. I'll invite Mr. Peoples to come to the front of the class.
Good
evening.
Facebook's been hopping this week for you guys, huh? I feel like you guys have been having to respond to a bunch of...
It's a busy time of year. I gave you a copy of the next 2 agendas for both education policy and education funding. Trying to keep up with both of them, but education policy and administration, they have their own world over there, and we're pretty busy in our own. This week, probably the thing that most people have heard about is HB 751, which is open enrollment. This is a non-germane amendment to a bill, and what that means is they basically took a bill that was already there, gutted it, and reinserted a complete replacement inside the bill, changing its intent. So at this time of year, you can't start a new bill from scratch. It's the only way to move a piece of legislation forward in a rapid way. And we talked about that, I think, at our last meeting. I brought that up, that we keep some bills on the side that can be repurposed, if they're an interim study bill or something that is very low value. So whatever the bill is they usually got is something that's low value. In this case, this open enrollment bill is to meet the court order for a Supreme Court order, which says basically, even though we have had open enrollment, that we can't charge for application fees and we can't charge tuition for that outside of what's normal. So some districts have been using it to poach customers. I'm going to call the students customers in this case, because if they're in a declining enrollment situation and they have space, they've actually been trying to get folks from other districts to come to them, which is a problem, and hopefully they'll address that in the rulemaking. This bill is coming back from the Senate. It's already approved over there, and it's coming back to us probably next week for concurrence, which is the House is going to take a vote on it. If it passes in the House, it'll become an enrolled bill and get slated to go to the governor for signature. I printed out a copy of the bill for you so you can read it.
Can I ask you a question? And correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I haven't dug into the bill terribly in depth, but my understanding is that the funding mechanism behind this is that we, as a sending district, will be responsible for 80% of the tuition for the student.
Correct.
Is the other 20% the responsibility of the family, or is it the responsibility
No.
of the receiving district?
It's no money for the family.
So
This is,
So as I'm seeing, and I wasn't responding to the Facebook comments, but I saw a couple of reps, talking about this and promoting this.
so Senator Sullivan's laid that out pretty good on the What's Up page, as people have been putting different things up. I think probably the best and clearest example, but it has nothing to do with the parents paying.
So I guess what my question though is like what's being posted is there's negligible, if any, financial impact to any district. But really, how can that be the case, right? Like if we're responsible for sending 80% out, right? So that's 80% of our district dollars that really we can't really budget for. And then if you're a taxpayer in a town, right, and you're going to foot the bill for 20% of any student that's coming in from another town. So how are we like saying that there's not a...
Well, there's 46 states that already have open enrollment. This actually started out in Minnesota back in, I believe, 1983. I might have that date wrong, but it's been around a long time. And in all the data that I've been able to acquire basically says maybe you'll get 2 or 3% of students taking advantage of that. Because there's other catches with it. First one is transportation. Transportation is not being provided. So if you want to go to a school that's halfway across the state, you have to get there and back, and it becomes a logistic nightmare. So originally, open enrollment was brought about to get kids out of failing schools, right? If you're in a district and there's 10 schools in the district and 2 of them are really bad, but the other 8 are doing good, so inter-district open enrollment would allow those kids go to other school. They didn't have to go to school A, they could go to school B. And that was originally the intent. As it's developed over the years, it's become a mechanism for school choice, right?
Mhm.
Let the parents decide.
But like hypothetically speaking, if you had kids from, let's just say Manchester is an inner city, right, and it's not a far trek to come to Litchfield. I mean, aside from the budgetary impact that would have on Manchester, but like our taxpayers would be paying for 20% of any students who are not residents of Litchfield that are coming in as well.
You need to read the bill, because in all this is the guardrails. Right, so the district needs to set up a policy, what they have for capacity. The superintendents and all that have to work together to enact that policy, and everybody has to agree that this is what's happening. So it's just not, I want to come here tomorrow and I can do that. there's a lot of steps to get there.
No, I understand. I just see a lot of discussion online about this and you know, within our community. And, you know, at the end of the day, if we're going to be, you know, part of the reason I'm asking this is because we were presented with a policy that we, you know, didn't put into place, but we're going to be asked to be putting into place. And, you know, if I'm seeing that the commentary is, well, there's a negligible financial impact to communities, like I just want to make sure I understand like what the state reps are thinking that.
Well, I mean, I would read the bill. You'll understand it as well as I do. The problem with many things like this, and I talked to Superintendent O'Connell yesterday, the courts are never our friends in these things.
Sure.
This is a court decision that this is a knee-jerk reaction that we're reacting to it. And, so, you know, here we are. What do you do? It's, you tell the judge, no, we're not doing it. It's the Supreme Court this time.
We did speak yesterday. I talked
Yeah.
to Mr. Peoples yesterday on the phone about this. And, you know, I raised a couple of my concerns that you know, that I have with it, you know. My understanding, you know, is that, you know, a school district would have no influence on, you know, a family deciding to send their kid to another school district and then footing a bill for that, right? So a tangible example is you could have a Litchfield family decide they want to send their student to a Hudson school, right? And we would be on the hook with no say in it. This is my concern.
Yeah,
at least
yeah,
to you.
as you voiced yesterday.
Yeah, is that we would be paying 80% of our rate to, like, the Litchfield taxpayers would be paying for that kid's education over in the Hudson School District, right? And then vice versa, kids coming here. Another concern I have with this is, and again, this changes almost every day.
Every day.
You know, you gave us this earlier today, Mr. Peoples, which I appreciate. I haven't got a chance to read it yet. Is make sure we're protecting the opportunities for our own local students. My understanding is this makes open enrollment. Every school has to do it no matter what, right? And what I get concerned about is students who don't live in Litchfield taking the opportunities of Litchfield students from both an academic or a co-curricular standpoint, right? I'll use my own kid, for example, in a different school district. You know, she's in theater right now, right? She has a little role, which is great. I'm gonna be honest, being transparent, putting myself out there. Maybe I'm not a great parent for saying this, but like, if a kid from a different town came in and took her spot, I would feel upset about that, right? Like in that play and stuff like that. And I think we have to be careful sometimes to make sure we talk about athletics a little bit and some of the dangers that this has involving athletics and other co-curriculars, music, performance, and stuff like that, and making sure that we honor the opportunities for our own students who live in our own towns and stuff like that, that we don't lose track of that and trying to, I think there's a good thought here where we want to make sure kids have opportunities, right? Like kids can have access to different programs and different opportunities to make sure that they're successful in the future, but not lose sight of our own kids in our own towns and communities that we represent and that we work with on an everyday basis. So I think this is a tricky bill that you guys are trying to sort through and figure out a path. You know, I will say, like, I'm concerned about the financial implications. Budgets are set, right? You know, 5 kids, if we have a difference of 5 more going out than coming in, you know, that's $100,000 difference, right? Maybe we have more coming in and that's a benefit to us. Maybe we have more going out and that's a negative to us, but we don't necessarily have, we don't know how to budget for that yet, right? Like, we just don't know because we don't know how any of this would work and stuff. And we opted not to do a warrant article, which I still believe is the right idea because this is so changing on an everyday basis. My understanding is
This right here, this is approved by the Senate.
Yeah.
So it only has to go to the House.
Yeah, and my understanding is this would supersede any warrants that are out there potentially that would get approved, so.
Yeah.
I think us waiting and allowing the dust to settle this was still the right decision, you know?
And I think when you were talking about that, I was here and I said, you know, there's a lawsuit coming, the decision was imminent.
Yeah.
We didn't know what that decision would be, and that would definitely change what you would put out there for a warrant. But,
So
I
the
mean,
House can still make changes to this bill, right?
pardon?
The House can still make changes to the.
Yeah,
Senate,
I,
right, and
the
it's up to
House
committee?
could possibly make an amendment to that.
So are there any states that are in similar situations as New Hampshire where we don't have the most robust funding for schools?
I think there's a lot of states out there without robust funding.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not unusual. The only difference is a lot of other places have broad-based tax other than property tax. But you'll find if you look at state after state after state across the United States, property tax is the only vehicle that's large enough to support the public schools. It is the only thing that's stable enough. A sales tax, right? You have a little bit of a recession, sales tax revenue goes down. Business profits tax here in the state, we have a little bit of a recession, those things go down. Income tax, you have a recession, those things go down. Where property tax stays level and stable for the most
Property tax
part.
goes up.
Well, yeah, well, but doesn't go down.
Right.
Another
So-
thing, on that note, actually, I just wanted to mention, like, we did for the New Hampshire Association for Administration, so that represents superintendents, did have an open letter that they had several school administrators throughout the state signed on to, and was presented to Governor Ayotte and members of the legislature. They do talk about that specifically, that there are states that do have full open enrollment, but they are significantly more robustly funded by their states. So they had, like, specifically Arizona is 43%, Idaho 65%, Mississippi 46%, where we're 29% of receiving the state portion. So it would certainly be a lot more on the taxpayers, I think.
So
for New
there's,
Hampshire.
so they're also, the sending district's also paying special education expenses.
Yeah. But that's true, that is true if you were to send a student to an out-of-district placement.
I was gonna
or a
say.
charter school or something.
But
along
who's
those lines.
making if the student is going to an out-of-district placement, who's making the IEP determinations?
The IEP team, right?
At
like-
that district or in our district?
We still do. Like the sending district, both districts are part of the team, right? But it has to be an agreement on that team. So you can't just have one school say, hey, like you can't have the receiving school be like, this is the special, like, whether you like it or not. No. We get to sit at the table and you come to the best decision along with the family and other stakeholders and stuff like that.
So again, this one's it's a moving target at this point still. We'll see what the next week brings.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have a house session next week, Thursday, so I anticipate that would be on it. It was too late to get on this week's calendar, so, things that are coming have to be in there by a certain date so they can publish it. It's the same thing that you're used to, you have to notice your meetings, we have to notice the stuff to the public, because, as the fourth graders found out when they came up on Monday, government in New Hampshire is 100% totally transparent. They can come to the House and participate by watching the House sessions. They can go to the Senate. They can go into the governor's chambers and sit with the executive council and witness government taking place. It's very, very transparent. I don't know how it is in other places, but I can tell you here, there's not much that people don't know. Although I was reading the paper and the governor said one department didn't notify her about another thing, so we'll see.
You guys are doing a hearing for this, you said next Thursday?
Pardon?
You're doing a hearing for this next Thursday?
I anticipate that it's not going to a hearing, it's gonna come before the House. It'll be on the House calendar for a vote.
So there won't be a hearing, there won't be an opportunity to speak in the House? They're just gonna take?
Well, there'll be a floor speech in the House, or two or three, and then a parliamentary inquiry and a vote, unless there's an amendment. So again, I haven't heard of any amendments coming yet, but that could happen that day.
So no public input on this when it gets to the House?
Pardon? No public
No
input.
public input when that goes to the
Nope.
House?
Nope, it was heard in the Senate, so they already had their hearing.
Okay.
Other thing that's coming, we've got one bill that we're working on, talking about a statewide ERP system. That's,
ERP?
we're gonna, to basically manage schools from one end to the other. We held that bill over. We were going to take action on it the other day, but the Department of Education is asked to have some other input in it, and they have a few changes and stuff they wanted. So we're going to see that on Friday.
What does ERP stand for?
Enterprise Resource Planning,
That would be our
but
accounting
it's a catch-all term for all your computer processes, accounting, depends on what you roll out, what it looks like. Everything is kind of modularized, like, AP, AR, payroll. In this case, we have student grading, there's all kinds of other pieces that roll into that. Again, that's one of the transparency issues we have almost exclusively when we request a piece of data. And as we've been working on special education funding solutions and just general education funding solutions, the problem always comes when you ask for a piece of data that you need to make a decision. Either they don't have it because they don't collect it, schools don't provide it, or they do collect it, but the schools don't provide it because it's too much work and there's no carrot to have them deliver it. Or it's HIPAA related, or it's confidentiality of some other fashion that you can't get it. I mean, even what we get for reports, the lowest common denominator report is 11. Anything less than 11 isn't allowed to be reported on. It's because you might be able to personally identify a student out of something smaller. So we're trying to get through that issue. I mean, everybody wants to come up with a solution. We really are working hard to try to do that, but we want to change the special education catastrophic aid. We want to lower the numbers so that it kicks in sooner, but we can't tell what it's going to cost because we don't have the data. The data doesn't exist enough to do that. So literally, if we moved it from 3.5 down to 1.5, we have no idea what that would cost. It would be just throwing it up against the wall and seeing what happens. So
Sort of like the open enrollment.
I think this is a little bit more defined than.
You
I
should
could
be
know
able
myself in that.
to anonymize the data. Why can't you, I mean,
So we just.
One of the challenges in special ed is when you share services,
Yeah.
right? So like when you try to pull out, like if we have a paraprofessional who might be working over the course of a day with 10 to 12 students, right? How do you monetize that person's time? Because we do things within the confines of our system to streamline processes. When you have an out-of-district placement, that's pretty easy to articulate in a dollar amount, right? Because it's an individual. Now, what you can share, that's where it gets tricky. What Mr. Peoples was talking about, a lot of this stuff is protected by confidentiality and
Could be
protocol and
HIPAA.
everything like that. But like that, you can put a dollar amount on. But like, I won't say like atypical identified student, every student is unique, but like maybe not as a high needs identified student, it's hard to articulate the exact dollar amount that student's costing you in special ed services.
So
if that makes sense.
just out of curiosity, is like, I mean, you obviously work with our superintendent, right? Like you take the initiative to do that, which I think is great.
I think you did a great job hiring him.
Thanks. Can't take all the credit, but
you can take 1/5 of the credit.
yeah, you take that. Are you guys like, what is the interaction like with educators of the education community in terms of like seeking out information? Because like what I'm hearing is this is a problem, but part of this problem is like not really the ERP. Part of this problem is like, how do you actually gather this data?
And that, in fact, is the problem, right? So you have 117 different SAUs in the state. Everybody does it just a little bit different, but they all report up on like the MS-25s and stuff like that. So all the data coming up to those forms are in some other fashion. Some people do it in Excel. We have school districts that run on QuickBooks. What you guys use?
Google Finance Plus.
Finance Plus? and Google. And Google, because you do. So we have all this disparate data around the state that when you ask for like that next tier down, it's a mess, right? So part of
So really the first step is making it uniform, and then you'll be able to start to analyze
the proposal that's out there right now is came from the other side of the aisle from me. You know, I'm a Republican. It came from the Democratic side, and I actually concur with everything that's pretty much in the proposal. It's basically to square up the data, square up the systems across the state, so everybody is reporting the same thing in the same way. Just to make it level field. Now, if you want to know if we want to drop catastrophic aid down from 3 to 2 or 3 to 1.5, based on a little better data, we could tell that it's going to cost X dollars. And we can fund that because now we can go to Ways and Means, you can go to Finance, and you've got a number that you can put forward in a state budget. We're likely to make a decision to lower that number. It's looking imminent, and just take a guess. But it's going to come with some strings, much like your grant funding, right? You know, there's always a little string attached. Well, this string might be that data that we're going to lower to here, and if you report that data and it's accurate, we'll give you a little bit extra. So it seems to be the only way that we can get the participation without legislating something that's concrete.
Heavy-handed,
Yeah, yeah.
You guys got to change the term ERP. It's not really
Term of art.
It's not really the right term or the right tool that you guys are looking for to be able to manage this. I mean, it's.
I came up with another acronym for it, and it confused everybody. It was basically education related. They all laughed, but yeah. So right now, you have to remember, it's a bill. It's not even a bill. It's a bill, but it hasn't went forward yet. It had a public hearing. Everybody agreed that there's some things in the bill that are really good. Both sides of the table agreed that there's some things we'd like to do. So right now, we're going to take it to a working session and see what those things can be, right?
Yeah, I'm concerned that if it comes down as an ERP or an MRP system is what they're going to try to put in place, they're then going to force every SAU and district to run their district using that tool.
There's actually
It's a
one
resource planning tool, not a data analytics and gathering tool.
And there's costs to the district for changing to that
Yes.
system and training.
And there is one company that already has about 50% of the SAUs already.
The
So,
one we use?
no.
Of course not.
I would
Good.
assume.
Why would it be?
It's
what we want.
probably because they charge a heck of a lot.
But it doesn't
more.
say you're going to have to use it. It's only going to say that you have to report out this data in this fashion.
Okay.
Right.
Is
Is
it,
it
in the
a
end?
formatting thing?
Huh?
Is it a
Yeah,
formatting
it's
thing?
yeah.
Can be. You got to collect it though, and in the end, it's about the data collection. You can't report on what you don't have.
So can you provide us the data points that they're looking for?
No.
And then
Because it's a bill, all it says is we want you to collect it.
Right.
That happens afterwards, that comes out of the rulemaking and the other process. And it's, at this point, it's to develop a commission to do that.
Yeah. I was
So-
gonna say, is the state gonna fund the districts to put the teams together to reorganize their data?
Well, your funding might come in the form of a lot more help in special education or more adequacy money, right? So,
I would just
That's-
gently maybe remind people that there's been a lot of mandates that we get that are not
unfunded, yes.
So that burden gets passed down to us, which makes it challenging. We talk about special ed, and that's kind of the classic one where there was an interpretation for a long time of kids would leave on their 21st birthday, and when that got updated to their 22nd birthday, it cost districts a lot of money.
And we're working on one right now that addresses the fact that if you have a child that's in that particular situation that turns 22 during the course of the school year, the USDA food program, if he was on free and reduced lunch, the USDA program drops them at 21. So now we have this, the child gets dropped at 21, he's still in school till the end of the school year or his IEP, depending on the district, because there's two ways to do that. He's not getting free and reduced lunch anymore. He's not getting fed. So for unintended consequences is something the legislature lives with continuously. And the idea is that we ferret out most of those before they become that problem.
So I have just a question. This is not like targeting anything, just out of curiosity, because I don't know the answer to this. So, how closely do you guys work with the DOE and with the commissioner? Like
So-
figuring out, like, because I think one of the hiccups with the parental bill of rights, for example, is the recording thing, right? And I don't know if there was or wasn't dialogue with like the DOE on like, how does this now operate boots on the ground, right?
So that's a great question. Thank
Yeah.
you for your question,
Sure.
Superintendent O'Connell, because
We did not
we,
rehearse this.
we work very close on that. As a matter of fact, through most meetings, depending on which one you're in, we will have different experts from the Department of Education in the room with us. And we can use them as technical resources, like Rebecca Fredette, special education, Mark Mangeloni from finance, Caitlin Davis, the Commissioner of Education. They're very approachable, and they are there for the meetings. They have to be there as technical resources for the committee working on those problems. So even with all that, every once in a while, there's unintended consequences, that you just can't, you just can't think of them all. I look at the book. I don't know, you guys all have a copy of the red book which is the statute?
I just go online.
Yeah.
So
I have it up bookmarked online. Don't get me wrong.
when I was appointed to the education committee, one of the first things I got was this giant red book with print about that big, and it's the education statutes. It's enormously complex. It's been altered year after year after year after year and never been recodified. So we looked at recodifying, and we're talking millions of dollars just to go back through it and like make sure everything, isn't duplicated or saying do it, you shall over here and may over there, to recodify the whole statute is enormous amount of money. So we still have a big red book, and it's going to be there for a while. So to that end, and Caitlin Davis, when I was originally put on this committee, Frank Edelblum was still the commissioner. Caitlin was the one that did our onboarding. We spent a day with her. So we do have that resource is available at the end of a phone call, much like yourself. We were down at the National Summit on Education together. So there is a lot of cross-pollination. Other than that, if you see anything that's on here that interests you, I gave you both of these. I can't talk to any of them because I haven't heard them yet. They're Friday's work.
Thank you for the time.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope it helps.
It's great to be able to have those conversations, honestly. More towns should probably adopt this model.
I can tell you, every day I go up there, I learn something new. It's wonderful. As I said the last time, I was appointed by the Speaker of the House to the Career and Technical Education Advisory Panel. So I'll have more news on that on Monday. It's my first meeting there at DOE, so see how that goes. I did tour Elvern at their open house last week. That was really good to see some of the Litchfield kids. If you haven't been over there to take a tour of that facility, you really ought to go. It's quite impressive. I don't know what I expected, but it was way beyond the. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, we have the superintendent's report. When do we typically let you guys get out of here?
They're like right now.
We could go right now. I don't.
Yeah, you guys.
We're going in the weeds and some not exciting stuff.
Guys, want to say thanks?
Please have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.
I apologize.
All right, so the first thing we just have here is a follow-up from our deliberative this past Saturday. Thank you to those in the community who were able to attend and hear their voices heard. We appreciate that. So that first link is the updated warrant. We did have Article 1 that was adjusted by a vote on the floor. Went up by $9,600. So that is the updated language. We do need to update the budget committee voting total there, so we will update that. We were busy with our meeting, so we just have to double check their vote total.
I think
We
it was 7-1-0.
but we want to double check their minutes before.
Yeah, because I think they only had.
We didn't know if
7.
Derek got on the phone or not.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't
He
present.
wasn't present, yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
Aaron
they may
wasn't
have gotten
present
him on the,
I'm
right.
pretty sure it was 7-1, but obviously you have to check that. Don't go
Yeah,
with
so
me.
we just don't know if there's one person missing for the vote or two, so we just want to double check
Mhm.
that, make sure it's accurate, but
So
we'll
if
have that
Mr. Sun is
updated.
watching, he can get us that.
Yeah, and we'll just go check the minutes as well, so we just haven't done that yet. And then everything else remained the same, so we'll keep everything else the same and go from there.
Okay.
The next thing is just voter day preparation. So that's the voter guide. This is due to the town, so we can get it to the printers next week. I've left it for the board there for your review. We have next week to continue to provide updates, so feel free to read through it, make any comments you want, any suggestions or anything in particular you want us to highlight. That's our first draft in there. We've run it through administratively, through our team and the building level administration. So any thoughts that you have on that, just let me know. Any comments, you can comment
So
right on it.
Mr. Cutter made a comment in the.
Yep.
So you
Yeah,
saw that.
so you can do the same, just highlight it and then add a comment if you want. And then we'll send it off to the printers with the town voting guide next week as well, so.
Okay.
That's actually all I have for me.
Keep it rolling.
All right, Julia, so you.
All right, yes. So I did attach the DRA forms that I had presented last week, but now they are signed. I will, we keep the DRA form the same for the warrant, even though the amount has changed, so it'll just be updated on the ballot. So we don't have to re-sign for that. And then I'll just move over to my update, if I can find that. There we go. The mandatory report to voters, I just wanted to let everyone know that I have posted that. That's been posted where the warrants are posted, which is at CHS Town Hall, and on our district website. Have not fielded any questions so far, so that's good. With regard to the FY25 audit, I just received a few days ago the audit draft, so I went through that.
February.
Yes, exactly. So I just need to complete the management discussion and analysis, which I'll send back to our auditors, and once they have that, they can finalize the document. So hopefully we will be receiving that within a couple of weeks. We also have scheduled our audit for FY26 because we like to do that ahead of time so we get the week that we like. So that will be, as it has been the last couple of years, it'll be the third week of July. So that's been scheduled. With regard to solar, Mr. Jewett and I had a virtual meeting with Kay last Friday to get some clarification. I think some of your questions are answers, and there's still some
There
follow-up information that's
yeah.
needed.
There's some headaches.
You tell.
I mean, I will say I am more comfortable with the, call it the fire safety of the battery system. There are, she was able to answer all those questions, and I'm more comfortable with it not having an active fire suppression within the battery system itself. So she was able to answer those questions. She did provide information as to why, if you look at the solar usage, as to why there is long terms of like you get great solar production and then the very next day you get none, and massive spikes. So that's just due to the angle that the panels are mounted at, which is due to, I guess, loading on the roof or some is what she explained. Yeah, it's they're at a very, very non-ideal angle to shed snow. The questions that I still have that are open is, I asked for summary documentation. What were the requirements the system was designed around? What did her model show? She did state her models are proprietary and wouldn't show me the data or the calculations, and I said I just want to see the summary reports. I want to know what was your input and how you got to we needed 880 solar panels and a container's worth of batteries, of which I still have not seen. I will also say that I am a little perplexed on how the systems that we asked to be designed and for us and installed, how the data of that can't be shared with us. Like I'm really, really confused by that. And like the UL report can go to the fire department, but when I asked about the specifics, she goes, well, I don't know if I can share that. And I'm like, I'll go over to the fire department and I'll go get it, right? It's like there's a lot of oddities with that.
Shouldn't she have to share that with the school, with the district as a whole?
That's what I would think. I mean, we're the ones that are asking for them to design the system. I would think that we would get any information that we would want around the system. I get her model is proprietary, so I get, fine, don't show me your model and what your model does, but I would expect to get outputs from it. And I would expect to get the summary information of how she came to that system design.
So is she saying she's going to be delivering some of this stuff you asked for, or is it just kind of she's hoping you're going to forget?
She said that she was going to look and provide it, but that was a week ago, and I haven't seen anything since.
That would be something she has at her fingertips, or should have at her fingertips.
That's what Julie and Miss Darling and I said when I went to go sign some of the stuff at the school the same day, is like, for a project that's still open and active, that should be at your fingertips. But so I will say with the battery system, I am much more confident in its design.
We'll reach back out to her to get an update on the summary data, or she can.
Yeah, I mean, I also, like, so I can reach out as well. I know you guys are very, very busy this time of year, so I can ping an email back out, kind of see where that resides.
Makes sense.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Thanks, Julie. So I think we are on to CIA. Sarah.
All right. Here we go.
I'm getting it.
We ready for some data?
We're ready for some data.
I knew it. I
At
knew
least
we'd be
somebody's
ready.
going to give us some data today.
It's
I
coming
knew
through
you'd
the
be
data.
ready.
It's on camera. I'm probably gonna mess it up over here trying to.
What?
It's on camera. I'm probably gonna mess it up trying to go through.
All you have to do is hit your arrow over. It's
I'll do my best.
You'll be fine. It's okay. Okay, so in the fall, I presented our district assessment data for 2025, but the state aggregated data was not out yet. So we have to wait until they got it all set and ready, and then there was a lot of other things that were taking precedent, obviously, with the project with GMS and all of that kind of stuff. So I've been waiting. So here we go. All right. What we're gonna go over tonight is just the SAS, PSAT, and SAT data as it compares to the state, and it really gives us a clear picture into how our students are progressing towards those grade level expectations and how they are performing against other students in the same cohort across the state.
Can I ask you a question before you start?
You absolutely can.
So I'm excited to look at, us versus state.
Yeah.
Just like globally, and I mean this, I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. So like, I don't expect you to know like the data across the country, but I think we kind of have heard some sort of indications of this, and I kind of look at this like 40. These are percentages, right? Like percent of proficiency,
Yep, it's
right?
the percent of students that are meeting proficiency or above.
So like I see, lots of numbers that I mean, 40, 20s, 40s, 50s, like, and we're not talking just Litchfield, we're talking like in the state. So like, is that like that seems terrible to me.
Yeah, so that was let's dig in, right? So let's go to are you on
I guess what I'm trying to feel out is like, are we just a
Right.
stupid state, or are we
Actually,
stupid
just the
country.
opposite.
Like,
Our state usually in nationalized standardized testing performs well.
So we're a
Right,
stupid
so
country.
like, remember how I presented,
Or it's bad test.
iReady data?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, so those are nationally normed. So when we look at our iReady data, we look like we're killing it, right? Like, doing really, because it's nationally normed.
Okay.
So like Brian, or Superintendent O'Connell,
Brian.
official, he was saying, we typically will outperform because we have different demographics, right, across the nation. But so Brian, if you want to just go to the math data, so we can see that if you follow these cohorts, you can see a drop in not only district but in state. We're kind of mirroring that, and it just shows that there is a systematic issue that we need to look at. And math actually is low nationwide. It's become a really big problem ever since COVID. And it's really something that a lot of districts are trying to address. And there's really great trainings out there. It's a matter of having time and funding to get those trainings. For our teachers, there's a training called OGAP, which is phenomenal training in how to teach math sequentially and it's program agnostic. So it does not matter what kind of program districts have. It's how do you teach math effectively in the different domains, right? So it's being able to, this is how we are looking at these things though. So we had a math vertical alignment meeting. I gave them cluster graphs or cluster tables that showed historic data for the state and for us. Where are we outperforming the state? Where are we not? And what are those domains that we're not? And what are we focusing on? Right? So that's stuff that we're doing as a district to try to mitigate these drops that are going down.
Can I ask you a question about OGAP? Is
Yeah,
that what you call it,
yeah.
OGAP? When you're looking at those, I hear you saying it's phenomenal. I'm assuming that's based off of your training and education, like your personal perception of it. Yep. Are they tracking and presenting data as to districts that have undergone this training and whether there were improvements in their data? Like OGAP itself,
so OGAP training is voluntary on you don't say you're going to do that because it's 4 days, all day. We have had a couple of teachers go. I wrote a grant last summer for teachers to go because there were some districts hosting. So there were a couple of our teachers that actually went to that training and loved it. They were middle school teachers and they were like, it's phenomenal. So
it's not like
it's
widely
not like,
implemented.
right.
that
It's
you
not
can
like
actually-
something that we can say, okay, this district has full implementation of all their teachers are OGAP trained. Let's watch their data. It's very sporadic and it depends on, some districts have more teachers that are able to do it than others. And again, it's contingent on funding and availability. Because I had some teachers that wanted to sign up, but the one that they wanted was full and they couldn't make the other one, so.
Or it got canceled.
So actually.
You tried to go to one?
Yep, we tried to go to one and it was canceled.
That's my background.
And I've been trying to get into them too, just because I've heard about them, but I haven't been able to actually go to one and take it. But I do plan to. So, but that's just what we're looking at. And when we look at this data, we're looking vertically as to our curriculum instruction. And then if you look at the diagonal, that's where you get your cohorts and how you're tracking how they're doing over time and where you need your targeted supports, right? Does that make sense as you're looking at that table or the graph? So that's how we're looking at these things when we're seeing that some of the changes that we are making are actually being responsive and things are happening at that grade level. And then when we're looking at the cohorts, they decline. So if you follow the third grade from 2022, the orange down, Like we were at 54% proficient district, and then we had the dip in 5th grade to 23, but then we're starting to bounce back up in the 6th grade, which that's a trend that I've noticed since I've started looking at the data. Like we have kind of that transitional dip, and then we start to go up. So we're really focusing in on those transitions.
But what's interesting about that though is that you're seeing the dip in 5th and 6th, which I know is so 5th is the transition year for us.
Right, and then
but I
we
know
have
other districts have a 6th grade transition year, but we're still substantially below the state average.
But look at the purple. Look at what.
Sorry, I was looking at the orange.
Yeah, no. So, but it's weird. It's interesting because it also has to do with the cohort of kids, right?
Sure.
So if you look at the purple, we jump from 5th grade 21% proficient or above to 31%. So we jump up 10%, right? And then we go up another to 41%, and then we have a slight dip in 8th grade in that cohort, right? So this is where we start drilling down into the students, and what we have our CIA focus areas of targeted instruction, like what is the actual skill deficits and how can we mitigate that gap?
Well, yeah, I mean, you can look, because when you look at grade 5, just you could look for cohort, obviously trends within cohorts, but also trends across cohorts.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so
we obviously see that 5th grade is.
What's the thought on why is there a dip in the 8th grade? Because we were trending upward. What happens in 8th grade? That's not a transition yet.
Right, so, I mean, and again.
Well, 2 out of the 4 cohorts in 8th grade, 2 of them were performing above state average, 2 performed below state average.
Right, so we're also trying to improve the assessment culture and how students view this assessment and the purpose of the assessment. This year we implemented the SAS modulars. Once a quarter, they have to take them, and we're really talking about them with the students and getting this out in front of them, what the importance of this, and let's track your data. And Jen's been doing a lot of work on that as well, and we're really having a lot of conversations around it so that the students understand the purpose. Because I know for myself, for anybody, if you don't know the purpose and you're not really invested in it, especially when we get into 8th grade, I was an 8th grade teacher for a very long time, that test gets in front of us and we're like, I'm feeling it sometimes and sometimes I'm not feeling it, so there's some of that, and I'm not going to discount though that there is work to be done, and we are really doing a lot of things right now to help with those things.
Do you see the dip, sort of the constant dip? See the 5th or 6th?
Yeah.
6th
Yes.
seems to be bigger.
So what I'm also looking at though is like on the state averages, like how much of a variation is there year over year within like grade 3? And if you look at like grade 3, it's between 51 and 53%. So like it's not varying hugely at a state level year over year there. I haven't gotten to really look at that there's a lot more variation for us. Obviously it goes from 54 up to 66. So there's bigger swings. I was trying to see like how consistent is the state performing,
right,
or the changes in the state as compared to us, because
Right.
Up and downs.
that would start to.
And our trends are mirroring the state.
You mean just directionally or proportionally? Because I mean, I think.
And directionally, like we're stronger in the lower grades, and then we start to dip down, right? And it shows that there is just overall, like I was saying.
But there's but there's much larger, like and I mean, I guess the state is averaging over more people, so.
Right, and I was just gonna say that too. Part of our disadvantage is that our population size is so small that we have a smaller sample size.
Right.
When we're just looking at our small data, right, as compared to a Manchester that has how many 5th grades in it, right?
Also, just chiming in to having looked a lot at this data, I hate to chime in from the audience. You can tell me to be quiet if you want me to. but also every student that we have that opted out, so in given years, those count as
A zero.
point for us. So
Ah.
if we have 5 students who said, yeah, this test is testing schmesting, I don't wanna do it, all of those 5 students who opt out count as a 0 towards our scores.
Right, we have to have
bad
95%.
math.
We have to have 95% participation, and anything below 95% counts as a 0, which is inaccurate data.
Well, do we know, have we had years where we have below 95%?
Yes.
And we're trying to, again, change that assessment mindset and show that this is not some scary thing. And by getting them onto the modulars at the beginning of the year, they're starting to see that this thing is not like, oh, this is the end of the year and this is, I just do this one time. It's actually being integrated into their instruction and used to inform teachers' instruction. So they are getting,
So I guess like the thing that's like disheartening to hear with that though is like this is basically useless to look at, because how do I, like grade 5, let's just take for example, going down, right? It goes from, our low was 16% and our high was 40%. That's a massive swing compared to the state averages, which are 38 to 40. So just hearing that those zeros, like I don't know if the zero, were we 16% because there was a dozen zeros in there, or were we 16% because
I don't think that was because there was a dozen zeros.
Well, I can't see the number, what year was that?
That was
2023 district? And the reason why I think I think the reason why that's important to me is because now we have this wonderful thing at the beginning of our freaking Warren article saying, oh, and by the way, we have, this proficiency. So, so now if it's taking us this long to like understand what this means and what the problems are with this, like it feels like a never ending pit of despair.
I don't think it's useless. I think one of the important things that it can tell us is how we're performing against the state average, right?
Absolutely.
This district, I'm just going to be blunt. This district should be above average.
Yeah.
Period. Like it's just the way that it is. So when we see numbers that are not, this isn't like, I'm not trying to be critical of individuals or anything like that, but it shows us we have work to do. We have work to do in math, right? Like we can flip to ELA. I'm going to flip to ELA.
But I would like to know, but I mean, I don't understand how you can, if there's, that thing about zeros is problematic.
It is problematic, but that shouldn't be why we're so far away from the state average.
Right,
Like,
because we don't have that many. But
Yeah.
this data is really driving work that we're doing, because I told you since I first came here, I came up with those 3 curriculum focus areas right away. And that was without even like really talking to anybody. That was just a summer of deep diving into things that we are seeing. And we've come a long way, and there's been really good traction, and the teachers are doing phenomenal and realize, okay, we need to do something. So
I think just for the purposes of level setting, though, it would be good to know, like, you need to report this back to us, but I think it would be good to know in analyzing this, what is the factor that the zeros are contributing? Because that's the only factor that's that doesn't equate to the performance of our students, like the actual like educational retention of our students or whatever, however you want to coin it. But anyway, sorry, you can move on to the next thing.
No, and I think just flipping the ELA and not to step on Sarah's presentation, but I feel better about where we are in ELA as a district, because we're not every single grade every single year, but more often than not we're performing above.
So question then, can someone opt out of math only and okay, so now when you compare, so that is one way to actually tell a difference here, is like when you compare. So for example, grade 5, district 2023, we were 16% proficient and 47% proficient with ELA. So that really, you're right. Like that is actually a performance issue. That's not it was a bunch of zeros.
Right.
I mean, so the other thing to keep in mind, right? The rest of the state is held to the same standard. If they have less than 95%, right, it counts as a zero.
But it can be much smaller impact across a larger district.
Well, it's a percentage base, right? So that to me shows a cultural thing within that district, not necessarily. So I guess when you create it based upon a percentage, a single student can create a larger swing in percentages. But every state or every district in the state is held to that. So it's not like it only counts against us. That's part of the information that we're going to get out of this, right? Is to show, hey, you know what? It's not only do we need to work on where these problems areas are, we need to work on people just need to take it.
Right.
And go from there.
Right, which is what we have been really working on to make it more of a positive thing, and like
Right.
you can really measure how much you've grown, right? Because it's goes right to what we teach. We teach to the standards. It tests to the standards, so it gives us that picture. But like Superintendent O'Connell said, ELA, we consistently are performing either really close to or above the
Look at
state
grade
averages.
3, 2025.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yes.
That's what all our numbers should look like.
Yes.
Yeah, they're doing phenomenal, which these tell us like we have a really good, strong, solid foundational literacy, which is even getting better because we implemented UFly this year, which is that foundational literacy program. And I was meeting with the kindergarten teachers a few weeks ago, and they were telling me how at this point in the year they're seeing more growth in their kindergartners than they've seen. And these are all veteran kindergarten teachers, which is phenomenal to hear. And that's why I was bringing this program in, because I heard that from the previous district too. And the proof is there. So, and I'm actually going to talk about this later on, but we're working on something to help with the middle school and the upper elementary school to get that, because we have some of the fluctuations are in that middle area here. So there's plans in place to help with that.
We
Well, I mean,
fluctuate, but we don't have the dip. We don't have
Right,
that
it doesn't.
transitional year dip, which is great to see.
But we do see a little weakness around that, though, and I think that's your efforts with vertical enrollment that really help
Yeah.
Yep,
improve that.
absolutely. Yep. All right, so do we want to go to science? All right. So, science so I want to preface science because science is really challenging because they're only tested in grades 5, 8, and 11, right? Whereas math and ELA, they're tested from grades 3 through 8 with the SAS, and then they pick up PSAT in 9, 10, and the SAT in 11. So science is almost like this forgotten thing that all of a sudden resurfaces every few years.
But that's looking very true across the whole state. I mean, this is
Correct.
this is very uniform if you look at this.
Correct. So, science we are still, looking at, if you look at the grade levels, so like grade 5 for this year is actually above the state, right? And in 8th grade, we're 1% below the state. And 11th grade, we're a bit below, but then that took me into a spin. I was talking, Karen and I meet regularly, and we were looking at this data, and we were like, let's see if we could track the cohort, because 5th grade or 11th graders last year, which are our current seniors, were in 8th grade in 22, and then our current 9th graders were in 5th grade. So if you could go to the next slide. We just wanted to see what it was. So we put it in class of 2029, which is our current 9th graders. They are really closing that gap, right? So in 5th grade, they were 32% proficient compared to the state 38. But then in 8th grade last year, they were 36% with the state being at 37. So it's a nice way to look at how they're trending in a positive direction, closing that gap in science. And then again, we have that kind of similar cohort for 11th graders. In 8th grade, they were 24%. And then in 11th grade, they were 21%. So from 8th grade to 11th grade, they did dip, but the dip in that particular cohort wasn't huge. Yes, are we farther off from the state?
Yeah, the
We
state went
are.
from 33 to 39 though, so it's.
Right. So, and we are, that's really helping to pinpoint, like talking about vertical alignment, right? Like, what are the areas where we are noticing that dip, and how do we strengthen those concepts as students are moving up through the grades? And they're actually changing the requirement for students to have science SAS in 11th grade to 10th grade. So we'll see what that does.
So I'm in no way, shape, or form like a data analytics guy, but like when you're analyzing this, are you sitting down and just like writing like questions of like, okay, like do we think that like are you writing down like sort of like a hypothesis of like this is, you know, is it this, right? Like is it that there's just this cohort of students that really were underperforming, like at which point it's like, you know, maybe that at that point you're like looking granular, but like, or is it that it's that the state as a whole or whatever, like what, like when you're actually analyzing this data, like how are you going about that? Are you just like looking at it and saying, which is fine too, like I don't know, I'm not a data guy, but are you just looking at it and saying, okay, well this looks like a trend? Because I mean obviously you have your job, which is I don't envy in any way, shape, or form, is to not only make sense of what this is, but then to try to boil down like, okay, well if that is that, then what changes do we need to make?
Right. So I go down a lot of rabbit holes. When I start looking at data, I will do first like high level look and just be like, okay, that's interesting. Okay, I look, and then I tend to look vertically first, just because again, I say like curriculum and instruction, like how is that improving? Is it improving over time or not? And then I go down the diagonal, and then once I start going down the diagonal, that's when I start going into my rabbit holes of starting to drill down into student level data almost. And I really like to have amazing conversations with teachers about the data. So for example, we just had ELA vertical alignment on Thursday last week, and I gave them the ELA cluster performance graphs, and the high school got the SAT and PSAT, and the conversations, you know, you would expect it from math teachers, right? But ELA teachers, I was like, you go. 'Cause they were in it, and they were standing up, they were highlighting, they were asking for additional data. And at the high school level, it carried through onto Monday when we went to PLC, and we were looking at the standards. Okay, look at where they're performing lower. Now, where are we teaching these things, and kind of mapping that out to see where are our priority standards. So that's where we're going next, right? Like, here's the data picture. Now let's look at the standards and where they're being covered and how often, and what needs to be a priority standard, so that we are really making sure that we are hitting that skill year over year over year. So that's part of that vertical alignment piece. But my brain, I couldn't tell you, because I don't really have like a specific process. I just like, once I start getting the numbers.
You're like Rain Man, you just see the numbers.
You should see the multiple tabs and spreadsheets that I have before, and then I have to pick and choose. Like Brian has seen some of my graphs, and it's hurt his brain. How some of that, because I'm like, I just had to put it together and see what it looked like. So
one more minor piece of feedback, just for like looking at these in the future.
Yep.
Just because like, if I sat down, this is what I probably would have to do. This may be too much work, but hypothetically, if on each of the district lines, you could put like a little, like either, you know, green +2 or red minus whatever, like we'd be able to take a quick look at this and say, okay, like there's a lot more green versus red in terms of above or below state.
Oh yeah, I can do that. That's not.
Can I ask a rabbit hole question?
Yeah.
Have we gone back and looked 20 years ago at our scores
Well, did they have
So
that
this
testing?
test wasn't available
Well, I'm
20
sure
years
there
ago.
was some testing, right?
I don't know if there was.
But, and have there been any, are we teaching anything different? Are we teaching math different today than we taught it in 2010?
Oh, I can promise you that.
Yes.
It's a loaded question, Peter.
Yeah.
It's a very loaded question.
I have some help with math homework,
So,
Neil.
but I will tell you that I do that new math in my head anyway, but but because there's a lot of folks who look at the new math,
Yep.
which is new to me, the math I did was new then too, that kids just don't get math. Because it's not, what I like about math is there's one correct answer.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Dan Mitchell's at home screaming at his TV because he's like, he's so passionate about like alternate learning styles.
So really, I mean,
Yeah.
what did it look like in 2008?
Right, so
What were the standardized test scores then?
So
And-
there's
and
always
What's the difference?
There's always these like education. We have, I hate the term, but pendulum swing for lack of a better word. And we were at like rote recall, skill and drill, right? Like in who remembers math drills like Madly Minute, right? Right? Yes. So right, you have
Flashcards,
to,
I remember all that.
right? So then we go, oh no, we need all this like abstract conceptualization types of things, and then we get away from like rote recall, automaticity type stuff, right? So actually now with the changes of the 306s, they're putting math facts back into the 306s because you need that automaticity, right? You need to be able to look at, 6 plus 3 is 9 and just be able to do that in order to add on more complex concepts to free up your working memory so that you're not having to then try to process, okay, 6, and then I'm adding 3, right? So we're going back to, but there's a balance between the two worlds, right? So we need to strike that balance. They need to build that number sense and have that foundation built, and then we can build on concepts, which is why we're seeing such a dip, because we're building highly complex concepts with students that might not necessarily have the automatic facts to be able to free up their space to understand those abstract concepts. So we're trying to kind of, come back a little bit from that, and sometimes the Mad Minute isn't a bad thing, right? We need to get fast,
And we are doing those.
That's right. So, so we're coming back. So there's always these let's do all of this and only this, and no, let's do all of this and only this. Well, how about we do a little bit
Do
of both,
whatever works best.
right? All right, should we look at PSAT and SAT?
Yeah, and before you dive into it, there's just one thing with PSATs and SATs that I think would be interesting, particularly amongst cohorts, is what percentage of that cohort went on to college? Because one thing that we seem to talk about is like, well, there may not be buy-in to standardized testing. However, if you are going on to college, there should be buy-in to the SAT at a minimum.
Right, and Jen has good plans to talk about that, because no matter what, even if you're going on to a trade, so my first career was a cosmetologist. And being a cosmetologist, I not only had to do my boards, which was practical, I also had to take a written exam, right? And that was a trade, but I still had to pass a high stakes written exam.
So I love that for getting buy-in for people that aren't going to college. I'm just saying, from an immediate data point, if we're concerned about buy-in because of kids that are not wanting to go for post-secondary education, at least we can kind of do a correlation between, was this cohort, high population of kids going on to post-secondary education, and how did they perform against the state? Because then we might have an indication that it's a performance issue and not a motivation issue.
Yep.
So do all the kids have to take the PSAT?
So unless they opt out.
But they can opt out. If they
They
say,
can.
I'm gonna be an electrician, and I'm not gonna do this.
They can opt out.
For the PSAT, they have to take the SAT.
Yeah.
Why do they have to take the SAT?
Just the way it is. All juniors have to take it. I have chased
That's not a
down
good
many
reason.
juniors to take it.
They can opt out though.
Yeah, they can. It's this,
They can still opt out. It's, so, yeah.
Yeah,
it's the state test,
yeah,
and they can, but
yeah. You
Yeah.
chase them down, you sit them down, you make them take it. I
And
know-
then and then you have 25%
That-
proficiency.
That impacts our overall grade.
But it's not an opt-in. So like, they all take it.
So, but you get more than the certain amount of opt-outs. Now you get the zeros that factor
Yeah.
in. So it's
Which is why I think most stuff in these schools should be opt-in. People should have to opt into a lot
well,
of
that's
stuff.
that's statewide, right? That's a state.
No, I think
the
it's,
state
You
is,
don't want opt-in.
no, you do not want
'Cause
opt-in.
that means that yeah, I would prefer the
It's opt-out for everything. So for the SAS, for SAT, if you're like, okay, SAS is this state, SAT is this state, then they would have to formally opt out to not take it.
The only, I think there's the YRBS is the only one that's now like opt-in.
Yes.
For the state.
Correct. Which is totally different
Yeah.
assessment.
which one is that, Jen?
That's like the youth behavior survey from the Department of Health and Human Services. If any schools wanna do that, it's now an opt-in.
Because
It
it's
used
not
to be
really an
opt-out.
academic.
Right, I remember.
Yeah,
It's a non-academic survey.
but all the academics. And I plan to talk to the kids about, I have a whole slideshow, to improve the percentage of students that take the SATs. It worked in the previous place that I worked, really well. We went from like in the 60s to in the 90s of participation rates. So again, it's just like getting kids comfortable, that's part of it. Like,
Yep.
they might not care or they don't think they care, but then you're like, well, oh, wait a second, so-and-so kid that some of you know wanting to be a real estate agent? Well, you have to take a test for that, so you might as well practice. The college-bound kids, I'm like, hey, you can send your scores for free, because when they take it for the school day, so we have a lot of there's a lot of incentives for kids, they just have to be aware of them, and then they have to buy into it, and they honestly, the intrinsic motivation, which is so hard to give them, but I know what our kids like at Campbell. They are super competitive.
Yep.
So I'm gonna bring in like, hey, beat last year's scores, whatever I have to, talk to them about. One of our goals is just creating a more, like the assessment culture in the overall school is one of our building goals this year. So that included like having midterms and finals. I'm collecting a lot of feedback from staff, from students. So I'm hoping the more, and like, I don't know how much our teachers have talked about data in the past 5
Right, and that's
years.
actually a conversation that, so I had the English PLC on Monday and at the high school, and it was a phenomenal PLC. Like, we were looking at data, looking at standards. They were talking about how, I really haven't talked about the PSAT or SAT in my class, and I really should do that. Like, the PSAT is in October. I should start talking about that and giving like sample questions and things like in September. And it was just an amazing conversation, and I was so excited to be a part of that with that group and how they were really reflecting and thinking about the things that they were doing, and I could introduce this and I could use this to vary my questioning so that they're used to seeing that type of question. And it was phenomenal. But that's what bringing the data and putting it in front of everybody is doing, right? It's, okay, this is what our data looks like, and this is why we have these focus areas. This is why we're doing the vertical alignment. It's why we're doing our targeted interventions and data-driven instruction.
But I think
Right.
the other thing is taking the data and then what? Like, we can look at the data until we're blue in the face, but if we don't do something to change what the data is showing, we can just keep looking at data and saying,
Well, I think
that's
that's-
bad.
Which
That's
is why
why I
we
was-
need to do the priority standards and really figure out, okay, here's what the data is saying. Now, what can we do? Like, the high school English team has a plan already from just meeting Thursday and Monday. They have pinpointed things that they're going to start doing now in their instruction, which is
So I think that's what, when I was asking like how you approach it, like I've been sitting here thinking about like if I had to try to like analyze this data myself, and I think what I'd be trying to figure out is like, okay, am I looking at a cohort issue? Am I looking at a grade level issue or a vertical alignment issue is something that we need to address with our curriculum or something within our program of study? Or are we looking at a statewide issue, right? Because now it's a larger issue that, you know, maybe we play into, but it's something that we give to Mr. Peoples to say, hey, you gotta go do something about this.
Go fix this, Rick.
Or is it a testing issue? Is it simply just a testing? Is it, you know, in which case, like if we can answer those questions, then we can come up with better idea.
I
of what we
think
have to
the answer is yes to all of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and culture.
Right.
It's a culture
Right.
thing.
Right.
That is probably the biggest umbrella,
Right.
and then it feeds into all the other.
It feeds into
buckets.
all of them.
But I think if you
And-
start from if I'm starting from that place of like, okay, trying to look at these trends, like at the baseline, is this just a cohort issue? Okay, well, like we know, like that's like real pretty easy to start to like, because you could almost throw that out, right? I don't think we're in a place where we can get that granular that we're going to solve necessarily cohort issues, but
These numbers, it's
Right.
all the state cohort. Have we ever gotten these numbers and tried to compare it to our cohort, our individual cohort?
are you talking district? Are you
As
talking,
opposed, right now, it's us against the state, or compared to the state.
oh, you're talking regionally.
Yeah, I'm talking about region.
Oh, yeah, I can get that.
It's available on the DOE website.
Yep, I can get that. That's how I pull, that's how I get they have iReport and iAchieve, and that's how I get the state data. And I can get any district data, so I can pull some of that together so we can see how we compare regionally, which is fine. And it's gonna, it'd be interesting. I think it's probably gonna be similar, but like, so if you go to the last slide, like, so Matt, this is how we're doing in reading, but I think everybody's kind of looked at the data.
Reading
So
is great.
if we just go to the last slide, like, this is why, so Matt, this is like to your point, this is why we have these 3 focus areas, because it's really an issue. It's all 3 of these things, right? We have to get vertical alignment so that we can have consistency and cohesive instruction year over year over year in each of the content areas. And these patterns that we're seeing are actually helping us to do that strategically, right? Because we're seeing, okay, we're seeing this issue year over year. Okay, so how can we adjust that? What are those standards that we're showing consistent issues with? So let's really focus on those, right? So we can get those skills and close the gap. So that's all that we're doing, all of that stuff now. It's a lot.
As always, I mean, phenomenal work. It's an incredible amount of work, but I appreciate that you're presenting this to us, because I'll be honest with you, this is not information that we were really aware of or privy to in this level of detail before. So
Yeah,
Yep, thank you very much.
you're welcome.
If you ever want to go in more rabbit holes, go start looking up statistical process controls in the theory and business analytics of how that's done, because that's essentially what you're doing, right? To apply that to my manufacturing world, right?
Yeah.
It's all about you're using your data to drive your lessons learned, your corrections to your process, to which then drives your data.
Yep.
And it's using your, I use it. You could use it as reactive or proactive. So that's exactly what you're doing, and there's a whole field all on its own on it. Great work.
Can I make a motion to approve the minutes in a block, or do you want them individually?
Still have one other thing here, this LCRC
Oh, yeah.
committee update.
So just really quick, so as I alluded to when I was talking about the ELA data, so at the beginning of this year, I went to 3rd grade as a request by a teacher to talk about UFly, because our current literacy program doesn't really give a lot of great foundational skills. So I was like, do you want to pilot UFly for 3rd grade? It's really a K2 program, but for kids that haven't had it, it's a great use. I did it K3 in my last district, and it was fantastic. So she's using it with those students, and they're responding really well to it. Then we talked about, okay, what's next once the kids that are coming up have had it. We were talking about how we really need to attack morphology and get that 3-4. And then I got an amazing email from Miss Kramer at the middle school who said, hey, I'm looking at this morphology program. It was a different one than I had been talking about. So I was like, hey, let's all talk. So we did, and then I had Miss Kramer and Miss Sabona talk and look at the programs, and I pulled in a couple, like Miss Jositis and stuff, and they decided, because I don't want the middle school to have something and the elementary to have something different. They need to, I want it, if we're going to do something, I want it to go through. Morphology is the study of words and language, by the way, just so you know. So they decided on Morpheme Magic. So Ms. Kramer gave us a proposal at the curriculum review committee, and the committee hands down said, yes, please, let's do that. So we're going to do a soft launch this year with a couple, like, rolling it out. They're going to, I think they've already ordered them. And then it's going to be full scale next year, 5 through 8, which is going to be great. And then we're going to do some U-Fly stuff with 3, and then maybe some morphology stuff with 4, but we need to slow roll that and come up with a plan with those teachers. But exciting updates and happenings there, because once students know how, like, your root words and all of that, then reading in content areas becomes that much easier.
Amazing.
Yeah. Great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I
Info.
am going to make a motion to approve the public minutes for the January 21st school board meeting, the January 31st deliberative session, and the January 31st school board meeting after the deliberative session.
I will second.
Any discussion?
Yeah.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Boom.
That's it. Policies. This is where I miss Andrew.
They're all second reads.
They're
so
all
you're-
second
You're
reads.
fortunate. The
So-
first one, you don't even have to do anything.
It's 'cause it's-
Which is, it's a new one. Well, I guess we do have to do something. We took the other one off. Never mind, scratch what I said. You do have to do something.
So, would this be a first read for this?
These are all second read for all of these ones. So we did first read
Including
last
the
week.
EBBCA?
Yep, including that one. So that's a brand new policy to our policy manual, even though we had it on the agenda last time for first read. It's actually not a brand new policy. It's just replacing a tri-coded policy and putting it in one spot. So it's not actually even changing the policy itself. It's just putting it in a different coding situation. But that's at the recommendation of the New Hampshire School Board Association to adjust the coding to that policy for the fibrillary rate.
So they're all second reads. So I
All
can,
second
I can do this. I got
All right,
this.
you got it?
I will make a motion to approve for second read policy EBBCA, policy FEH, policy GBEBB, policy IC, policy IHCD/LEB, policy JCA, policy JICK, and policy JLCJA.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Who came up with the policy naming convention?
Some masochist, or sadist, I can't remember which is which.
I don't, like I said, I don't mind policy. I enjoy it. Like, I don't know. I don't mind it.
The naming convention, though, honestly.
Yeah, there's like a rhythm to it when you see it all the time. It like starts to make sense.
I'm glad Matt did it, because I would have stumbled over that. I would have got
I'm trying to help you.
Shit. All right, enrollment. We had a dip here.
We do, but it's not for bad reasons. So we had 6 of our seniors who graduated early graduation, so with the
Okay.
semester wrapping up. So that's why you see a little dip in 12th grade. We did have a couple families transfer out from high school at the end of first semester, and they moved out of state, so the kids left with them. But the dip in the 12th graders specifically is because those 6 graduated early, so they wrapped up at the first semester. So you're all done. So good for them. Otherwise, though, the middle school and the elementary school stayed pretty steady. So.
The school calendar.
School calendar. So we've narrowed it down to just one option here. So we, you actually saw this about a month ago, 4 weeks ago is when you first saw the school calendar. So we had 2 options. We were looking at some stuff related to early releases and then more of the traditional schedule that we've had this year. We got feedback from a variety of stakeholders, from community. We talked about it here at the board level, from our support staff, our professional staff, our administrative teams. Definitely some fans of the early release days, and definitely some not fans of the early release days and everything in between. So kind of taking in all that feedback I got from our different people, I think this is the best option for us. I don't want to abandon the early release day. Maybe it's something in the future we can revisit. We kind of are going to try one out next year on our senior project day is what I want to do. Very purposeful early release next May, so we can have everyone in the district kind of celebrate our seniors as they do their senior project presentations. So I don't want to abandon it completely, but it's not quite all the way there yet, the idea. We need some more work on it and finalizing it. And when we started to kind of break down the days, I got really concerned about June. Like the early release version would push the last day of school to the 18th, meaning one snow day pushes it into the 4th week of June. And we start getting a little dicey. Here we have a little wiggle room still if we get a couple snow days next year that are not remote learning days to kind of play with a little bit. And just need a little more fine tuning on the early release and what they are, the purpose of them, and everything kind of related to it. So taking all that feedback, one of the things that came out of the board is adjusting a PD day. We had it on the semester flip in this version, a couple weeks ago. We changed that to Columbus Day weekend to extend Columbus Day weekend. But other than that, everything else remains the same. So I asked the board to approve this.
The LEA already knows.
They provided me feedback. LSSA provided me feedback.
They knew that this was what you were proposing as the final.
I talked to the co-presidents over the past couple of days to let them know what I was coming forward with and stuff like that. So.
I will make a motion
and I'm stepping away from the table if people are watching.
You want us to approve this, right?
Yes. My daughter just walked in the room, so I'm just gonna go set her up.
I will make a motion to. You can set her up if you want. You can set her up here if you want.
No, she'll just get back there. She's a big kid. She's in 3rd grade.
I'm saying this. I will make a motion to approve the 2026-2027 school calendar as presented.
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Poor kids aren't going to get 2 weeks off at Christmas. Not a full 2 weeks this year. We don't have to approve the school board calendar, right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. I will make a motion to approve the 2026-2027 school board calendar.
Second.
Discussion?
No.
Nope. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're, manifest.
No, you got one last
program
approval.
of studies.
Program of studies.
Oh, shoot.
CHS.
Sorry.
It's really easy to skip over these things. Great.
No, it's not.
Jen's waited all night.
Are you coming back? Are you coming up?
Honestly, if I thought the policy thing was gonna go longer, I would have skipped the policy and.
I appreciate that.
So.
You coming up?
I can. Do you want me to?
I mean,
Nothing's changed
there's nothing
from what-
changed?
Yeah,
Oh.
nothing changed from what
So
we
we just
proposed.
really need to vote on this,
You
right?
just need to vote. Yeah, you said you would like a little more time to review last time, so.
Oh, were you fine with it?
I am fine with it, yep.
All right. I will make a motion to approve the CHS program of studies for 26-27.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry. Passes 3-0-0. Jen, sorry, we probably could have told you this 2 hours ago.
I like listening to data.
All right.
Yep. She
I'm
loves
also
my data
data,
stuff.
data,
It's good.
The manifest will have three
Yeah,
signatures
I will
after.
sign
but
after I read this off. So we had, accounts payable manifest for $83,806. I'm not gonna say pennies. Another accounts payable manifest for $52,215. A payroll, and co-curricular payout of $428,954. A manual check for $483.55, also payroll. And then 403B and NHR manifest for $256,028. And LEA, LSA dues for $10,803 for a total of $832,291. And I will sign the remaining manifest.
Sweet.
So, community input, our second community input. Mr. Peoples?
Raymond Peoples, 205 Charles Bancroft Highway. I forgot a couple of things, and when you were talking tonight, you spurred a couple more in my brain. First was that they'd made, the superintendent and the business administrator had brought up concerns about the audit. And I went into the State House, I met with the sponsor of that bill, and we made that amendment so that they have 6 months to the preliminary audit, 1 year for their final. So that is a much more realistic timeline, and everybody agreed, based on the resources available in the state, if that had passed, it would not be.
Value of having this is.
So on the
you
other
for that.
couple of things was one of the, you brought up about having to put your proficiency scores in your warrant. That there was really a purpose behind that. I know that you don't like that, but the purpose was to provide accountability and transparency to the general public, because that's one of the things that they would see all the time. And as you're talking about state averages and averages in general, I caution you that being average is not good, that being above average is where we want to be.
Yes.
ELA scores over at
100%.
the Nashua Science Academy of Design is 85. So we definitely want to be on the high side of that as we compare things. And as we compare things within the state, you also got to compare things across the country. So if you look at Mississippi, call it the Mississippi Miracle, 2013, they were a full grade behind the rest of the country. Right now in 2024, their last assessment, they're half a grade above their peers. So it can be done, and they attribute most of what they did to returning to older teaching styles, teaching phonics, 26 letters, 44 phonetic sounds or so. And Mr. Plansky brought up about the mathematics. If you look at the drop in mathematics, it directly correlates and tracks with the 2010 creation of Common Core, when Superintendent Cochran and I argued about that for hours and hours when we put that in the budget to implement it. Like this was going to be the end-all to all end-all, and it's turned out to be nothing even close.
Can I just quickly respond to you regarding the proficiency thing?
Sure.
My issue.
I didn't invent it, by the way.
I know you didn't. My issue with the inclusion at the beginning of Article 1 is twofold. First and foremost, it says ELA proficiency 58%. It doesn't reference the state average, so it's meaningless because it's not helping. Like, there's no basis. There's no
nothing to
context.
compare it to.
There's
no
no
context.
context.
Right, unintended consequences.
Right, so that's problem number one. It would have been very easy to say ELA proficiency 58% as compared to state average of whatever. Whatever, fine.
56.
Right.
So that bill can be
that's
amended.
Point number one. Point number two is it's just an odd place to include it at the beginning because it's almost saying like, hey, our ELA proficiency is 58%. Do you want to vote for our budget or do you want to just vote it down? Like, maybe don't support. We're not doing well enough. We don't.
I can't
deserve a budget this year.
disagree with you on that, but the
Like,
reason
weird,
it's there
it's
is
weird.
accountability and
I
transparency.
know, but maybe bring that back to them and say like, in what form? Like, I think giving people the information is invaluable. We should absolutely. I would love our entire community to understand. But as with most things that we see with education, it's a huge thing, right? that we have to try to boil down for the community into one sentence, and then the community is like, look, this school district, they're a bunch of morons. They don't even know how to do their jobs. No.
Mr. Shoemaker, I can't agree with you more. And an obvious example of that was Saturday. How many people were at that meeting?
Yeah.
28.
A lot of people watched from home, but nobody was there.
Well, looking at the comments of the video, right, that was posted on the WhatsApp page, and I thank you, Mr. Peoples, for saying you should come down and ask the question in person over and over again. And I do agree with Matt on this. It's putting the proficiency score out there with zero context as to what it actually means. Like a percentage is a percentage, right?
Yep.
But percentage of what?
We just spent an hour talking about it. I still don't really know.
Right.
Well, again, I mean, next year they'll have something to compare that to, right? Because this is the first year. Next year they'll be able to compare year over year. Maybe that bill will get amended next cycle to make it a little more detailed.
I just feel like you're going to be the one making all the good amendments.
I don't know about that. You don't want to know the bill I have in mind right now. It would have definitely screwed up your school calendar.
Are you talking about going after Labor Day?
No, not at all. I don't want to digress and keep you here forever, but I was at a public hearing the other day in Policy and Admin when the youngest legislator in the United States presented a bill to create or allow the creation of honor guards to raise and lower the flag at the schools during active school hours and to make arrangements for, long-term flag flying over the summer and things like that. And as you know, we live up there. I live in a totally partisan world. So common sense is flushed most of the time, and we're either one way or the other. So on the right, there was, wow, that's really a good idea, and you get the kids engaged, civic pride, civic duty about taking care of the flag. There's some good engagement there. On the other side was, will that take 15 minutes out of my instructional time? Or could they lose instruction time on that? So I hear those kind of arguments, and then I watched the protests up in Concord, where the kids from the Concord High School were running through the State House, yelling and screaming during proceedings. And I went, that might be a good bill to put in, that when the administration allows the kids to exit the school like that the whole school forfeits that day of instructional credit, and they have to add that on to the end of the school year. So, I mean, like I said, you didn't want to hear that one, but that was, that's where it goes. And to Mr. DeWitt, you brought up one of my favorite terms. I'm past president of the Project Managers Institute here in New Hampshire, 725 members. Lessons learned. We don't do enough of writing down what we did, how it worked, and we keep going back and making the same mistakes again. But on that note, I'm going to say goodnight.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, any school board comments?
Nope. I will just say with lessons learned, they're great to collect, but if you don't action them, then they do nothing.
Exactly.
Okay, so that will do it for our public meeting. I need a motion to go into non-public.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote. Mr. Shoemaker?
Aye.
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Do I have to read these three things?
You have to say why, and I would say it is for A and C.
A and C. So we're going into non-public for
Night, everyone.
Good night.
91
Good night.
A3.
A and C.
A and C, the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee, or the disciplining of such employee, or the investigation of any charges against him or the employee affected. 1, has a right to a meeting, and 2, requests the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. And matters that, if discussed in public, would likely adversely affect the reputation of any person other than a member of the body or agency itself, unless the person requests an open meeting.